Hello, lovely people. I've decided to bring this in here today because, oh my gosh, the conservatory is literally like the hottest place in the world. And I can't have the door open because, you know, my neighbours complain all the time. It's just ridiculous. So apologies that I'm in here, but I thought I would do this little health special on wrist strength. I'm going to give you some practical application as well as information, on what you can do to help strengthen your wrists. Bentley Bulldog is in the background. Just whiz you round. There we are. He's flaked out and he's got his fan on. So apologies if you can hear him snoring, and apologies if you can also hear his fan. Hopefully that's not going to be too distracting for everybody. So wrists. These have been... Hi, Amanda. Amanda's like, hello, Bentley. Hey, Nick. Wrists, these have been problematic for lots of people throughout the years. It generally used to be something that a lot of my older clients suffered with, and it would definitely be something that we'd cover on older adult training. So whenever I did my older adult qualification, it was always something that they covered with regards to, wrist issues. And a lot of the time we were kind of just told to modify it rather than actually get people to strengthen. So for instance, we would be told if people couldn't support their weight and couldn't be on all fours, come down on the elbows. And that's absolutely fine, but they're never ever going to get stronger. They're never ever going to have an increase in their strength, or it's never going to become better if you just take the issue away. For instance, like when I did the thing on proprioception and on balance a couple of weeks ago, it's all well and good always offering people to go to the wall or hold on to a chair or whatever. That's absolutely fine. But their balance is never going to get better if they don't work on it. It's like anything. And anyone who uses their hands a lot will, experience wrist pain from time to time. Hey, Susie. And Carolyn's just come in again, and she said, I have bad wrists, RSI from my desk job, so this is needed. And this is the thing, that's what I was going to say. It used to be something that we used to only apply with older adults, but actually so many people now have RSI from desk jobs or these bad boys. I knew students at college, when I worked at college, which was now 7 years ago, which sounds ridiculous. Where have those 7 years gone? I don't know. But, I had students at college who were suffering with RSI because of being on their phones, being on, computers all the time, gaming constantly. And if you have very much a manual job, you may suffer with regards to your wrists. So, for instance, my mum years and years ago was a hairdresser. Hairdressers, very, very common to have, early stages of arthritis within their hands and within their wrists. Sylvia's just come in on her lunch break, and she said she has wrist pain from keyboard and mouse use as well. And it is that kind of overuse, constant use, repetitive, like RSI, repetitive strain injury, that constant repetitive movement that you might be doing. So I wanted to give you some hints and some tips, like anything. And I know I did the live on knee pain, probably a couple of months ago now, but you can always recap and look at that again on the women's health videos. And I think I put it in the instructor help videos as well. Wherever you've got a joint issue, you need to strengthen the muscles around the joint to take the kind of, not the inflammation, because that's the wrong word, but to take the pressure off, to take the pressure around that joint. So if we were looking at knee pain, we'd want to strengthen the quadriceps, which are the front of your thighs, your hamstrings, your glutes, your calf muscles, to take the pressure away. And exactly the same with regards to the wrist. Now, with your wrist, obviously, there's not that many big muscles we can work with in the hands, but definitely we can think about strengthening our forearms, and also we can strengthen our biceps and our triceps and our shoulders that will help this as well. Now, I know I've spoken about hypermobility in this group a lot, and last week we did the hypermobility chat for instructors, but if someone is hypermobile in their elbows, the pressure that they're almost, not creating in the areas they should be are going to go into areas they shouldn't. And likewise with hypermobility in the elbows, if someone's hypermobile here, then it's either got to go up or down where they're putting their pressure. So you might find a lot of people suffer with their wrists because they're hypermobile in their elbows. And if you can address the hypermobility issue in the elbows and not work into mobility there, you'll find that actually the pressure off the wrist can really, really help. So a couple of things that we can do, and I want to show you some practical application for this as well. So I'm going to give you a different view to look at me at today, and we're going to be here so you can see me from here. Okie dokie. So first of all, a lot of people will struggle and find it quite uncomfortable to kind of be in this position where the hands are pressed into the floor. A couple of things that you can do. First of all, absolutely, if it feels more beneficial for you to be on your knuckles, then you can be on your knuckles. You can be here in this position. But that might actually still put the pressure there. So another thing you can do, if you've got a mat and you're doing something on the floor, you roll up the end of the mat and you almost have that end like a rolled area, like almost like a foam roller, and you hold on to it here instead. So you roll up the mat and you can use that over it, and that's going to be really beneficial to take the pressure off through the wrists. Sometimes we actually need to do something though that's going to be beneficial for the wrist to actually help take the weight and take the strain. So with regards to this, I'm just going to bring you forward just a tiny bit here. Okay. So with regards to this is where we actually need to take our weight into the wrists. So we can start to do a good old-fashioned pedal push here, or cat pedal, as they used to be called, to actually take the weight. We can move our hands so they are side facing, and you can shift your weight from side to side here instead. And you can also bring one hand forward and one hand back and change over to the other side. And then you can put the back of the hand actually onto the floor and stretch, because a lot of people don't actually stretch their forearms and their wrists effectively. The other thing we can use is our spiky ball. And traditionally we would use the spiky ball on our feet or on other areas, and we might not think about using it with the hands, but it's brilliant with the hands and with the wrists. So first of all, you can bring your spiky ball into the hands, and we can roll that spiky ball along kind of the palms, which might be holding tension, just like your feet hold tension, and we rub along the bottom of our feet. We can hold the ball and almost just use it to squeeze, again, to help to strengthen the hands, the fingers, and then holding that spiky ball, again, we can circle round to help with our mobility, going round in both directions from here as well. Now, if you haven't got a spiky ball, then absolutely there are wrist exercises that we've been doing in classes for quite some time now, which again can be beneficial. So bringing the hands together and then spreading them. Again, helping to stretch the palms and the fingers. Holding the hands together and rotating. And I know for some people that doesn't feel very comfortable, but it will help with regards to keeping that mobility, going in both directions. Bringing the hands together and pushing from right to left. So you push your top hand into your lower hand, again to stretch through those wrists in that position. Jazz hands. So bringing the hands together and then spreading them wide. Putting your index finger and thumb together and circling round. And I used to do this in class quite a lot, come up halfway and then circle the other way round, get to the top, and now go round the other way and then back round. But also not just index finger and thumb, but middle finger and thumb. So exactly the same, circling round, get to the halfway point, come all the way up, reverse that, and then change that again, maybe to the ring finger and the little finger. Visualizing playing a keyboard or playing the piano really badly, but getting the fingers to move, getting them to move freely and just allowing those fingers to relax and to release. Again, hugely beneficial to actually get that mobility. Think about what you do normally with your shoulders. You mobilize your shoulder before you start to exercise it. You need to mobilize these joints too before you start to exercise, which is why I add in quite a lot of mobility for the wrists, mobility for the hands, before we do things like yoga or before we do a kettlebell class, to really help to get the hands warm, to get the wrists warm. One of the other things that we can do is we can work on the muscles around to help strengthen and stabilize. And we can use our activation band for this. So either with the activation band around the forearms and then bringing that down onto the floor, taking the hypermobility out of your elbows and just pushing against the band. You might want to just hold there, or you might want to then load with the legs a little bit by taking one leg up and changing that over to the other side. Or you could actually move the hands. If the wrists were very painful to be able to bring them onto the floor, then you can strengthen the areas as well with the band, with it being free. So palms facing each other and squeezing against the band. And we show this from a front profile and a side profile. Little fingers facing out as well. And that can be done at shoulder height, so can the palms in. And then it can be done up above the head and palms in. That could all be done as well with the band around the triceps. And again, helping to stabilize in that position. So either being on all fours and actually just holding that position, loading with the legs so the legs could come away into like a Superman, or moving the hands again to help to strengthen those muscles. Finally, there are some great exercises that you can actually do with a dumbbell to really help with regards to the wrist strength. And this is where you'll need a table or possibly like a little buffet or something, a bench that you can actually use a weight on. Not too heavy, so maybe nothing higher than 3 kg for this. Okay, so I'm just going to grab this little buffet here. And what we're going to do is you can place your forearm onto the bench or the table or the buffet, whatever you've got, and you're going to hold the weight, palm down to start with. You're then going to drop and lift. This is why you don't want that weight to be too heavy, because you're literally relying on your wrist strength and your forearm strength. So drop and lift. If you haven't got a weight that's really light, you could do this with a full bottle of water as well. And she has one just here. So I can show you it with this as well. And we're going to just lift and lower. Now, obviously, that's nowhere near as heavy, but it will still help. So palm down to start with. You're then going to move in and out. Now, let me just show you that from a side profile as well so you can see it. So down and up, and then side profile, in and out. You're then going to turn your palm up, so in a bicep curl position, And again, your forearm is rested and you're going to curl up and curl down. Lift and lower. With your palm up, you're going to move your weight or your bottle of water in and out. And then finally, you're going to have your weight or your bottle facing up, standing on their bottom. And again, you're going to lift and lower here. And move in and out. So I'm just going to show you that from side profile as well. So from here, up and down, and in and out. And those exercises essentially need to be done on a regular basis if you want to help to increase your wrist strength. So definitely think about mobility of the wrists. Definitely think about actually stability. So taking some stability exercises. And then also you need to do some strength exercises with one weight or with a bottle of water, resting on something where you can actually work through and help to strengthen those muscles, those areas. So I'm just going to move you back. I'm hoping, gang, that was all nice and clear and you could see that okay. Let me know if there's any questions about any of that. It's one of those things that we strengthen all of our other muscles. We strengthen our shoulders, our chest, our back, our legs, our bum, but we forget about the forearm. And the forearms do take quite a lot of weight, especially when you are all four bound or you're in a down dog position or you're a plank position, anything like that. And also, we can get osteoarthritis within the wrists, within the hands, very, very commonly, especially if you've done a very manual job or if you've been somebody who uses their hands and their wrists a lot through typing, through being on a keyboard, that kind of thing. Even like, people who are musicians, very, very common to get repetitive strain within their hands, within their wrists as well. One thing I will say is that if it's to do with osteoarthritis or if it's to do with repetitive strain syndrome, think about if you're having a bit of a flare up, then rest, ice, elevate. Try not to use your hands when you don't need to. So give them chance to rest, give them chance to, to decrease that inflammation. Like with anything, if you are very inflammatory within your body, then that's going to obviously have a knock-on effect to the inflammation that you hold off within your joints. So think about keeping hydrated. Think about decreasing the amount of acidic foods, so heavily sugared foods, highly caffeine foods. Alcohol, again, is going to increase that inflammation within the body. And you might want to increase foods like turmeric, like ginger, that can be a natural anti-inflammatory. Peppermint as well is also very, very good to help to reduce the inflammation that you might be experiencing. So I hope that's been helpful, gang. Get your spiky ball out, squeeze it, rotate. Use your fingers and your thumbs together, do your rotations, do your mobility, do your little stretches, practice with putting weight through, see how much you can take, see how it feels to use the activation band for stability there as well, whether or not you can load there more for a longer time with the activation band. That might be more helpful for you. And also as well, maybe try to implement those strength exercises on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, depending on how severe it is. If you are really suffering, like anything, the more you do it, the better it's going to be. So you might find that to do it on a daily basis is going to be, your homework. If it's not too bad and you just suffer from time to time, it might be something that you want to do on a weekly basis, or you might want to add into the end of one of the classes that we do together just to help, and that might be beneficial as well. Oh, glad you enjoyed it, Nick. Thank you. Thanks, Carolyn. Yeah, definitely do your stretches. So let me know if there's any questions or anything that you want me to go over in a bit more detail from there. But I'll definitely be doing a fitness Pilates for wrist and ankle strength next week. So it's going to be in for you on the timetable where we're going to be really focusing on those areas. Nick said the bands and up on the blocks has really helped. Yeah, anything where you can just lift your hands up, elevate. So when I did that video the other week on modifications, and I posted it into our group, I did do the whole rolling of the end of the mat or using blocks, and that can be really beneficial as well. So you might want to have a little look at that video that I popped on there as well. Thanks, Susie. No problem. Thanks, Lisa. Thanks, everybody. Take care. I'll be live at 6:30 tonight doing freestyle pump. Otherwise, have a wonderful afternoon, and I'll see you soon.